Oh well. Okay, so we're gonna do a little game, all right?
Okay.
So we have a picture here. We have a cow and we have a boy.
That's me!
I know. So together that's cowboy.
Cowboy!
Yeah. But if I cover up cow, what do you have?
Boy.
Right. See, that was easy, wasn't it?
Cowboy.
Right. Okay, now this one is tooth.
What is that? A tooth
I know.
and a toothbrush.
Right. And if I cover up tooth, what do we have?
Brush.
You're too smart. Okay, here's the next one. Milk. No, cup. Cup, cake.
I knew that.
You did, you were smarter than me. What if I cover up cup? What do we have?
Cake.
Cake. See how, you are so smart. Now I've got ones without pictures. So I'm gonna say it, and then you tell me what your answer is, okay?
Okay.
So my first one is baseball. Can you say baseball without base?
Ball. Bat.
Perfect. Ball. You did it right. Okay? Now the next one's haircut. What's haircut without hair?
Cut.
Perfect.
I don't even know how to do those.
I know. The check, I'll show you how. Okay, so how about Sunday? Sunday without sun. Sunday without sun.
Day.
Perfect. Railroad without rail.
Road.
You got it. Sometime without some.
Time.
Return without re.
Turn.
I thought that was going to be tricky, but you knew it right away. Around without a.
Ound.
That's so close. It's like round. You were almost perfect
Round.
there. Yeah, you did. Okay, how
Round.
about motel without mo?
Till.
Perfect.
Hey.
I know. Here, you want me to put that one? Okay, this one's half because we said ound instead of round. How about almost without all?
Toast.
Almost. We'll say toast. Okay, ready? Helpful without help.
Help. I know.
Second.
Full.
Perfect.
Hey, you got full belly.
I know. Here's a tricky one.
Did you know I got a zero with a fat belly?
Oh no.
You want to see him?
Well, let's wait until we're almost done with this one. How about baby without bay? Baby, say baby without bay.
A.
It's good. No, that's not wrong. You're fine. How about person without per?
Person.
Okay. Good. And monkey without mun.
Monkey.
Fat
Oh.
without
F.
without the F. So fat without
Fack.
take the f off.
Ack.
Seat without s. Seat without s.
Sack. Ah.
You want to try it again?
Yeah.
Seat, say seat without s.
It's too hard.
It is hard. It's eat. It's almost a different word.
Eat.
Yes. How about shout?
Shack.
Say shout
Shout.
without sh.
That's an H sound. So that's
Right.
That's the hardest part.
So it would be out. Can you say
Out.
out? Right. Okay, here we've got another one. Tail without.
T.
Without-
L.
Perfect. Okay, you've got it. Door.
What are you going to do that?
I'm going to show you what I did then. Okay, let's do, we only have 4 more. How about door without D? Say door without D.
Or?
Yes! This one's tough. Ready? I'm going to make a tough one. Few. Say few.
Few.
Without F.
You.
You got it right.
I listened.
Okay, here's another toughie.
Okay.
Snail without S.
Ale.
Almost. That's the end of it. It's lit. Okay, try it again. Here it's snail without S. You still have the N sound in the beginning, so it's nail. I know, it's so close. Okay, last one. Are you ready? Thread without F.
Ed.
There you go. Give me 5.
Can I
You
get
did
it?
awesome. You're perfect. Perfect job, okay? Look how good you did. That is so smart.
Whoa!
There's lots of kids that can't do that.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check out that.
A little bit.
7.
You want? Wait, should we total them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
No,
8.
I'll do.
Okay, you count them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So let's look at how our child performed on the Catt's deletion task. As we go through, we count the number of correct responses. I counted 11 correct responses, so I put that at the bottom. Incorrect responses totaled 9. Now, if we go to the Appendix B, it gives us our raw scores and our results for children at various ages. The child that we did this deletion task with happens to be 4.5 years old. If we look at our results and look at a 5-year-old child at 0 days for the deletion, which is the second column here, we can see that the mean or the average for a child at the age of 5 to 5 years, 5 months is 7.58. Well, our child was able to answer 11 correct. So we know that he performed better than a child at 5 years or to 5.5 years. Let's look at our next result. We have 5.5 to almost 6. That average for the deletion is 8.10. Again, our child still did better. If we look at a child at 6 years to 6.5, we have an average of 9.5 correct, and then 6.5 to almost 7, we have an average of almost 10 correct. What does this mean? You could say, well, we don't even have an average for a child performing like he did at 11 correct or 9 incorrect. At the age of 4.5 years old, we know that this child is performing well above where he should be at grade level. So that's really great news to see that he has this idea of what happens when we delete parts of a word, learning different parts of phonemic awareness and phonics in general. So now let's look at his errors and see if we can get a little bit more information from that. So again, first of all, we know that he is above grade level. And what else can we tell? Well, let's look at around. When we took off the or the beginning letter of the word, our child responded with ound. Let's see if we see any consistency or some additional errors that would be similar to that. Almost. We took off all, and instead of saying most, he said toast. Well, that's kind of interesting. He added the T in there. Could be he was being silly, but he still had the ost sound. But it doesn't necessarily, it's not similar or it's not consistent with the ound. Baby, we took off bay. He just said A at that point. So this one doesn't really give us any more information like the other two as well. Person, we took off per. He said erson. But let's look what happens in the next few airs as well. Then he says unky. Then he says ack and sat. So he's starting to understand that we're taking away part of the word, but he's not sure what part. Are we taking off the initial letter sound? Are we taking off a whole syllable? Are we taking off a consonant? What are we taking off in a letter? So a little bit of consistencies here when we see that he gets the idea we're taking off a beginning letter sound, but he's not quite sure how that works or what pattern that he's supposed to follow. He picks back up when we have single syllable words with tall, door, and few, and we only take off the initial letter. Well, what does that tell us? Well, these were compound words, and we took off the initial letters, and he had difficulties with it. When we had a single syllable word, he was able to differentiate that and do that correctly. So that tells us that he is working at those initial letter sounds and doing a great job of it. So we've got clues on initial letter sounds. But we are seeing some problems with compound word initial letter sounds. And let's go to the last ones. These are interesting because they're actually blends. We have a 2-letter blend with the SN and the 3-letter blend with THR. But we don't take off the entire blend. With snail, we only took off the S sound, leaving the answer to be nail. What the child did was he took off the entire blend, sn, and then only said ale. Then with thread, we were only to take off the TH sound. He took off the entire blend, leaving us with ed. Could be that he didn't hear me correctly. So I can always note that it could be that the person giving the assessment wasn't clear enough, but what I'd like to say is that at age 4.5, it's likely that he has not had much experience with blends. And working on initial letter sounds, we know he's learning those. Not much with compound, but he has done some work with single syllable, so it makes sense that he doesn't have a whole lot of information or knowledge yet about blends. Overall, we know that the child performed rather well, getting 11 correct when we look at the mean scores for the deletion test. So he is above grade level. We know that he is getting his initial letter sounds. We see some work in compound words with initial letters and blends, which clearly at 4.5 is not something that we're worried about, but something that we can continue to work on.